All right, welcome back to the Royally Unapologetic podcast, where we are talking all about building brands that make people pleasers clutch their pearls and dream clients say, "Oh hell yes, take my money." Let's get into it. All right, so this episode we're actually not going to be talking about that. Not going to be talking about the usual stuff. Some of you might be wondering about my goal that I announced in December about making my entire annual revenue from 2025 in January. And today I'm going to give you a little update. I'm going to give you some real talk about life and business and what that has looked like for me recently. And there's really not a major lesson in today's episode. This is more like a yap sesh and a little like reality check on what business can be like, even with like great success or like good followers, good energy, whatever. So if you love a little trauma dump, keep listening. If you don't, just come back for the next episode and we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I will love you either way. But I will say, if you don't like that and you're a hater, I'm joking. My Instagram community chose this. I put a poll on my story on whether or not this was wanted, and it was. So I'm gonna get really vulnerable with you guys. And if I cry in this episode, sorry. Sorry in advance. I don't know if I'll cry. We'll see. But basically, long story short, I did not hit my goal. And I am a little bummed about that. But ultimately, it's okay. It was a really audacious goal. And I'm really proud of myself for setting that goal for myself and being willing to put it out into the world for everybody to see and allowing myself to fail publicly with at least some level of grace. So that sucked, but it's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. And I apologize if you see me looking down a little bit. I have all my stuff written out, because I knew that this episode especially was going to be a little bit hard for me. But anyway, I'm going to be super real with you guys. The first 2 months of this year have been literal hell. Personally and professionally. And for the first time since like the early stages, like very early stages of my business, I actually almost gave up and I almost threw in the towel. So let me just give you a little recap on what my January and February has looked like, because this was just so much emotional baggage that I felt like I couldn't keep doing the things that I'm doing. And that's why I was like, I can't do this anymore. But anyway, let me give you a little recap. And I'm going to also say right now, I actually had to restart this episode because I forgot to put this in here. Trigger warning for a multitude of things revolving around like passing family members, sexual harassment, all that stuff. So if that's nothing is in like gruesome detail, but if any of that stuff bothers you, leave. Now's your time. We're gonna pause for a second, let you leave. Okay, if you're still here, we'll get into the tape. All right, so one of the first things that happened to me in January was that I got not assaulted, sexually harassed to the point of crying. And it was right in front of my home. So now that man knows where I live. And that's really scary for me. And ultimately, like I pride myself on being really tough and being able to handle myself. And normally like getting hit on like doesn't bother me. Getting hit on, catcalled, whatever. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't faze me. But this one did really bad. And the reason was because I knew and felt physically in my body that if I didn't have my dog with me at the time, that man would have tried to touch me. And my whole body was like screaming internally for me to like not turn my back to him, to run away, to fight all at the same time. And I literally couldn't process anything. So I like just kind of ignored him and went inside. And I didn't cry until I got inside, and I had like just gotten into my apartment and I didn't have my dog unhooked yet. And I literally like, I started crying. I started hyperventilating, and this was like post gym. So I like had to take a shower, and I remember standing in the shower, just crying because I felt so violated. And he hadn't even actually touched me. So if I have any male listeners, uh, this is what that's like. Um, but anyway, so that was thing number one, kicking off January strong. And then also in January, I had one of my first, I actually had two. I was kind of finishing up one and I had a second one. My first like big issues with clients where I had to enforce my contracts. And that really, really sucked because I have such friendly personal relationships with all my clients. And I really deeply care about them and I care about the work that I do. I care about what I deliver. And both of those relationships are now burned. Um, and it was not a pleasant experience. Um, Another thing, uh, I experienced multiple deaths in a row. The first one was not personal, but it was like adjacent to my circle, so it didn't affect me as much personally because of the passing itself. But it reminded me, like the relationship that that person had, um, reminded me a lot of losing my own cousin. And that brought up a ton of grief and trauma of my own. That's easily the hardest loss I've ever experienced in my life. And having all of that dug up again was really, really hard. And I remember I literally bawled my eyes out to my other friend because like a mutual friend of ours. And I felt like I couldn't support our friend in the way that I wanted to because it brought up my own problems and my own trauma. And then just 2 days after death number one, I experienced death number two, which was my grandma. And then a week after that, my other cousin, who's much older than me, and I wasn't as close with, but I had another family member pass away. So death one, 2 days later, death two, a week later, death number three. Between death number two and number three, I got really emotional news that I'm not going to share. But it rocked me a lot emotionally. And it is going to continue to rock me for quite some time. I haven't fully allowed myself to process, honestly, anything that I'm discussing in this episode. That's not healthy. But anyway, in the midst of like grieving and trying to support my friends and trying to support my family and all of the complex emotions and all of trying to like stuff my own trauma back in its neat little box in my brain, everything with ice was in full swing on the internet, and at least in what I had been exposed to. That's when it came like full force for me and my algorithm. Um, and everyone online was like attacking each other for posting and for not posting. And I posted once and I was literally crying my eyes out about my dead grandma as I was writing it. I know exactly where I was. I was sitting on my couch. I was laying down. I was like this, and I was like tears streaming down the side of my face, sad about my grandma, and like being feeling like a shitty friend and whatever, and like all this stuff, and then trying to also like be a good business owner and like talk about things that matter and whatever. Um, but anyway, I posted once, and I was crying about my grandma at the time, so I like pretty quickly just gave myself permission to not focus on that, to not focus on the world at large, and to just deal with my own stuff at the moment. But I really, truly continued to feel like absolute shit because every single time I went on threads, people I respected and care about were like raging at anybody who wasn't posting, and saying like not so nice things about them. And as a person who wasn't posting, that really hurt to know that like people were making those assumptions about me with no context. Um, and those assumptions cost me a client that I was really, really excited about. And that relationship has gone nowhere because I didn't have the emotional bandwidth or really the desire to rage on the internet. I have a lot of thoughts on the topic of business and politics and all of the different nuance around it. Um, and it's a very nuanced conversation for me, and that is not what this episode is about. So I'm not going to get into it here. But that did cost me, and that did hurt me. Um, anyway, going back to the deaths for a second. Just 2 days after death number three, I found out that my mom was injured overseas volunteering in a war zone. And she literally had to get piggybacked, like hop on somebody's back to get out of the jungle to another country to have surgery on a shattered ankle and torn tendon. Um, I saw the x-rays myself. There was bone fragments like floating around in there. So when I say shattered, I mean shattered. And I found this out like via text. Just like one random morning, woke up, uh, went to my app because I saw that I had like a notification on the special app that my family has to use for our international communication. And I was hours behind due to the time difference between the two countries that we were in. Poor service, no Wi-Fi. Because when I say like she was literally volunteering in a jungle war zone, this was not like a nice little hospital that we have in the US. It's not even like our worst hospital here. Million times better than what she's working in. She's literally working on the ground in a jungle with bullets like whizzing by. Um, and I, this is where I'm starting to get emotional. I'm really tough. I am. And my mom has been volunteering for a long time, so I'm like used to her being away, and I've gotten acquainted with really difficult conversations, like having to know certain things to do if she dies, and like how do I get her body home and whatever. Um, but until you know what it feels like to have a loved one in a real place where they could actually die at any moment, you don't understand what that fear is like, and you don't understand what it feels like the gut twisting pain it is to get bad news of any kind. Like, she's okay. She's home now. She was able to get back to the US. Um, and she's okay. Her like she had surgery, it went well. She had surgery in a different country, had to get back. But it's something that nobody fully understands, and um, it's very hard emotionally to deal with that. Um, hold please. Oh my gosh! If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I'm still in the same outfit as the last couple episodes, and the next couple episodes, you'll see the same outfit again. And it's I specifically chose to record this podcast last because I was worried that I was going to cry. But anyway, so all of that's happening. And then, like I mentioned, my mom was able to get home, but we weren't actually sure if she was going to be able to get home um, in a timely manner because there was an issue with their tickets, and like it was a whole debacle. It was a really mess. It was a mess. And so that's adding stress. And then on top of all of that, I was also stressing on her behalf because of her insurance, like not being kind things, with the injury happening in a different country, not having like the million and one documents that are required in the US. Like it's just a mess. Um, so there's all of that. And then on top of that, I think like with the state of the world and everything that's going on, like I've talked to a couple other people who are experiencing this too. I'm having an abnormally slow season. And that is hard in and of itself. It's a little bit scary. Like, I'm okay. I'm gonna be fine. Everything's fine. But um, that was scary. And then on top of that, I also invested a very hefty amount on myself and my business right in the beginning of the year. And I'm working to make that worth the investment. So I have that like pressure kind of hanging over me a little bit. And through all of this, I literally got so stressed out that I did not even want to be awake. And I was doing everything I could to just be asleep so that I wouldn't have to think. But I was losing sleep at the same time because I was so stressed out that my body like couldn't relax enough to go to sleep. And every day, like as soon as I would experience even the smallest fraction of consciousness, my brain would like immediately go into panic, stressor mode, and I would be wide awake, like nearly panicking in the middle of the night. Um, and I was just so stressed and so exhausted that I was like doing the bare minimum that I needed to try to keep my business alive and like doing the thing. So, like, no emails. I had no podcast episodes. That's why there's been like a 2.5 month hiatus. Because the first 2 months of the year sucked booty hole. I had like little to no newly recorded content. I was so stretched thin that I literally couldn't think of anything interesting to talk about or post about or whatever. And I stopped responding to texts from my friends. One of you is probably even watching. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you for checking in on me. I wasn't leaving my house. Like, not an ideal situation by any means. And then I landed a client and I was super, super, super excited about her. But it didn't go the way that I wanted. And it wasn't horrible. Like she was so kind. I learned a lot. Like it was fine. And like our relationship is fine. Like she's great and I love her so much. But that thing, like not being able to deliver in the way that I wanted to deliver at the time, that was kind of the thing that put me over the edge. I felt like a fraud. I felt like a liar. I felt like a loser. And like I wasn't cut out for this. I had a full blown like mental breakdown. I cried for the entire day. I sobbed to my boyfriend about how horrible everything felt. I contemplated giving up. And I have to like give a little shout out to my boyfriend because he is the most amazing human on the planet. He's so supportive and kind, and I'm truly like so grateful for him. He is the best person on the planet. Um, and like he's been my rock through all of this shit. The number of tears I have cried on his shirts, he could do a whole load of laundry with just my tear water. Um, But anyway, that brings us up to like the final week of February. And obviously this episode is hitting you a little bit later from like the day I actually recorded it. But I'm happy to say I'm still here. My business is still here. I did not give up. Um, Life just gave me like a whole lot of shit all at once, and I needed a good little cry before I could remember that I'm a bad bitch and decide that I want to keep going and keep doing this. Like, I love my work. Um, I love it. And I was talking to my mom and she's like, well, think about like how this relates to your life. Cause my mom was an entrepreneur for a while too. And it's stressful. It's hard sometimes. Um, and she was like, how is it impacting your relationship with God, with you, like your partner, your, like, how is it impacting all these other areas of your life? And I was like, every area of my life is better than what it was before. Like when I was working a 9 to 5, like every area of life is so much better. There's certain times and things that can get really hard and really stressful. Um, and like there's not as much security, but I looked at that and I was like, I'm not giving it up. Everything else is so much better in my life that I can't let one really hard season push me out from doing the work that I love and working with the people that I love. I can't have a couple bad experiences like damage me so badly that I'm not willing to keep going. Um, so anyway, like I said in the beginning of this episode, there's really no like key takeaway this is really just like radical honesty about my life and catching up with you guys, catching up with my besties. But I guess like if there is a takeaway, it's a few like little things. Number one, don't judge people. You don't know what's going on in their life. You have no fucking clue. Don't judge people. Number two, life gets hard sometimes, and there are seasons where all you can do is survive, and those seasons don't magically disappear with more money, more sales, more followers, whatever. They're still there. And number three, don't give up when shit gets hard. You're a baddie. Keep going. And this is just as much a message for you as it is for me. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I mean, honestly, it's kind of negative, and that's not my vibe. And I just wanted to be really, really real about like what life looks like sometimes, and give you guys like an inside scoop on me, so we can get closer. And the Instagram girlies, they asked for this. So if you're not an Instagram girly, blame them for this episode. uh, no, this was good, and I'm so grateful to you guys. And next couple episodes are so good. Like this was just a really trauma dumpy life update episode, but then like the last two episodes, I think one or two. And the next couple are so good, you guys. Like, I'm so excited to be back in my podcast and doing the work that I love doing so freaking much. Like I said, it's been a rough couple months, but I feel like I had my little mentee bee the other day, and I feel like that's what I needed to like get some of this shit out of my body. I think I still need to have maybe one more. If I'm being real. I need to watch a sad movie or something. But I feel like because of that, like little bit of release and doing some cord cutting and whatnot, I feel like I'm finally like in a place mentally where I have more creative space, and I am starting to feel a little bit better. I've had a little bit of time to kind of like settle into some of the things that have happened. Um, and now I'm so unbelievably happy to be back. Like I've created some content that I love. I just got done recording. Literally, this is the fifth episode that I've recorded today. Um, so we have like a whole month of episodes ready to go. I'm so happy to be back. My emails are coming back. Gonna try to make myself start a blog. Really don't like them, but YOLO. I got the content. Might as well do it, right? Anyway, I'm done. I love you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it wasn't too traumatic for you guys. And like I don't think I said this, but I'm not doing this for pity. I'm literally just trying to share because you guys asked for it. Um, and I feel close with you. I want to build my community, and I want it to be authentic. Like, not everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time. And this was a really, really difficult season for me. And I just want to be real about what that season was, what it looked like, and like why I kind of went like almost radio silent for a while. But anyway, that's my life for the last 2 months. Love ya. See you in the next one.